a little over 2 weeks ago, I work at Wildwood Elementary School and was approached by Christopher Eggemeyer, who's here. Chris, can you raise your hand? So he's back there. Chris, he's right there. So Chris teaches 6th grade English, and he had approached me saying that 4 of his students willfully decided to take on the task of researching the Black Lives Matter movement. And upon researching the Black Lives Matter movement, they found a lot of really depressing statistics involving African Americans, but also people of color as a whole, and a lot of young men like themselves. And upon doing this sort of research project, they made a poster, they made all these presentations, they decided to write a letter, which was sort of like the culmination of all this research, to the President of the United States, Barack Obama, talking about this and sort of coming to their conclusions and saying this is a very urgent issue that we need to address. And so Chris approached me to sort of look at this letter, and if I had any advice to give to these kids, maybe being black, I might have some sort of insight, as well as being a writer. So I read the letter, and by the time the letter came to me, it had gone through all of the revisioning process, and it was a complete letter. Anything I would have added to the letter would have basically just been me being subjective and telling a bunch of young kids how I would write a letter to President Obama, and not them. And I think the power of the letter is the fact that it was their words alone. And so I decided to put it on my blog. I asked them, we got parents' permission. We left out the kid's last name, of course. And I put it on my blog, and honestly, like, that was it. I put it up, and within a day, it had about, I think, 400 shares on Facebook. By the next week, and currently we're at 1,000 shares. That's crazy. That's viral status by these kids. And it was interesting was seeing sort of what these kids are saying in this letter, and the urgency of racism, and the importance of having a black president who should understand these things, and them requesting a meeting with the president. And then also seeing how this sort of struck a chord with so many people. And you can look at sort of on the Facebook page, you can see the shares that people did when they reshared from the Facebook page, and you can see sometimes people's comments. And a lot of people were saying, this moved me to tears, this is powerful, this is amazing, this is so well spoken, this is so articulate, this is amazing that a group of 6th graders could come to these sort of conclusions. And that was amazing. But then at the same time, we also get trolls. And you also get people who clearly read the letter and clearly disagreed with the letter. But they clearly knew that it was written for 11 to 12-year-old boys, and that still didn't stop people or reserve them from being very hateful and very unforgiving. And even some people who agreed with the letter were also very unforgiving. I saw one comment by someone who really, maybe she knew they were 6th graders, maybe she didn't, but even that didn't reserve people from sometimes like even criticizing. And I think that's important because what we're looking at right now is the reality that African American youth are faced with, and it's like we don't really get that luxury of having an African American youth. We don't really get that luxury of being children. Tamir Rice was 12 years old when he was shot and killed for having a toy gun, and he had the luxury of having toys. Trayvon Martin didn't have the luxury of getting iced tea and a bag of Skittles. We don't give those kids those luxuries. And no matter what side you look at, whether people are criticizing these kids or even agree with them, black youth still necessarily aren't seen as black youth, they're black men. And that's sort of what, when I read this letter, it struck a chord because it was a lot of things that I was thinking about when I was 12 years old, but didn't necessarily have that platform. I think it's a lot of things a lot of African Americans can relate to growing up. And we live in this community where we can hold a Black Lives Matter event and have all these people come, and we can pat ourselves in the back and leave here saying we're doing our best. But sometimes our best isn't enough because we leave Amherst or we go anywhere else, or we just go down the street to other places, just a couple towns away, and it's not so forgiving, it's not so embracing, and we really got to start thinking about how urgent this is to where we can live in Amherst and a group of 6th grade African American boys who grew up here still feel afraid and scared. So Like I said, this letter is written by them, no help from me, really no help from Chris, really just a really great support system. And I think that's what makes it so powerful. I'm just gonna let them do the rest of the talking.
So I'll just introduce myself. My name is Phoenix, and I go to Wildwood. And I want to give some thanks out to Chris for helping us with editing, and for Matali for putting it on the blog and helping with some editing. So I'm going to read the first paragraph of the letter, and it goes like this. Dear President Obama, our names are Phoenix, Zaid, Bryson, and Katie. We are 4 African-American boys who live in Amherst, Massachusetts. We are in 6th grade and we are researching the Black Lives Matter movement. We want law enforcement officials to treat everyone equally. As you are already aware, there have been several concerning incidents of African-American boys and girls who are unarmed and have not been breaking any laws being murdered. This is a state of emergency because the police keep on killing black lives for no reason and there's no one doing anything about it. Nothing is going to change.
My name's Bryson, and I go to the same school as them, and this is the part I'm going to be saying. Law enforcement officials and the justice system treat African American males differently. For instance, data from AmericanProgress.org shows the difference in treatment between white and black men. While people of color make up about 30% of the United States population, they account for 60% of those imprisoned. Incarceration rates disproportionately impact men of color. 1 in every 15 African American men and 1 in every 36 Hispanic men are incarcerated in comparison to 1 in every 106 white men. Clearly, African Americans are treated differently by the criminal justice system.
Hi, my name is Katie, and I go to the same school as them. Black Lives Matter movement started because of the death of Trayvon Martin. The movement gained momentum with the murders of Michael Brown, Eric Garner, and Tamir Rice. There were reasons those people were killed, but it wasn't worth being killed over. Police shouldn't be killing unarmed African Americans, but some people take this movement in the wrong way by thinking that they are just saying that only Black Lives Matter. But no, we are saying that Black Lives Matter too, which means all lives matter. Whites are treated like they matter by the police.
My name is Zaid. I go to the same school as them. For instance, 1 in 3 black men can expect to go to prison in their lifetime. African Americans were twice as likely to be arrested and almost 4 times as likely to experience the use of force during encounters with police. This shows that blacks are treated unfairly. President Obama, as a fellow African American, you clearly understand why this is important to every American. We would like to conference with you about this perplexing problem. We look forward to your reply discussing this with you in person urgently.